Need on OGTV, and of course, it's now time to check out what the papers are saying. You listen to what Dr. Emmanuel Abayomi has to say about starting again, that she can always start again. But it's time to also, are we starting again? We are just moving on.
We're moving forward, of course.
Yeah,
and we're moving forward with the national dailies that we have this morning. With me, I have the Punch newspaper and I have the Nation newspaper.
Yeah, I do have, I have Nigerian Tribune and I have the Vanguard newspaper. So let's start with the Punch newspaper.
Okay, so starting with the Punch newspaper, the headline here is Abductions, U.S. demands action. FG vows to track bandits. Ribadu meets U.S. envoys as Washington pressures Abuja on insecurity. Mother recounts giving birth in Kaduna kidnappers hideout. All of that can be found on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. That's the headline there. And above the next head, we have Makinde rules out defection plans after meeting Tinubu. And that's on page 27 of the Punch newspaper this morning. CJ declines to probe for bias. Speaker heads to court. So that's on page 27. Okay, let's have another story. Tinubu approves commercial oil drilling in Ogun. That's on page 19 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Attack scare. Please deploy officers to top Lagos schools. And that's on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And of course, lots of interesting stories. You can grab a copy of the Punch newspaper to learn more.
Okay, from the Punch newspaper, let's now check out the Nigerian Tribune and let's see some of the headlines that are dotting the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. We have ambassadors, Tinubu post arrest to USA, okay to France, Dakingari to Turkey. That is a commissioner designate to UK. That you can find on page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune. Then we have Fubara. Chief Judge rejects request to constitute impeachment panel. Getting interesting out there in River State. That you can find on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. And the board headline reads Kaduna abduction. U.S. wants Nigeria to strengthen protection of Christians. With it has about 3 riders. Yeah, 2 riders actually. One of them reads Southern Kaduna Christian leaders declare 2-day fasting over safe return of abducted worshippers. While the other one reads Southern Middle Belt Leaders Forum wants suspension, thorough investigation of police officials who denied abduction. That you can read on page 3 of today's edition of the Nigerian Tribune. Other headlines. UN says 35 million Nigerians risk hunger after global funding collapse. That is coming from page 31 of the Nigerian Tribune. Then we have I'm comfortable in PDP. Makinde with a rider meets with Tinubu at Villa. Then we also have Nigeria's cashew export hits $400 million. That you can find on page 11 of the Nigerian Tribune. Then coming from the export sector, we have milk, whole bread diet dramatically reduce cholera infections. That is coming from experts. That you can find on page 12 of the Nigerian Tribune. Also coming from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, we have Tinubu seals deal with Shell to unlock job forex flow. That is coming from page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. The last but not the least of it has to do with the oil sector, and this is coming from Ogun State. The headline reads oil drilling at Ogun water site, Olokula deep sea port set to take off. That you can find on page 12 of the Nigerian Tribune. So you can grab a copy and read more about some of these headlines.
Okay, from that we now move to the Nation newspaper this morning. On the front page, we have Rivers CJ gives conditions to raise impeachment panel. My hand is fettered by court orders, and that can be found on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. And on agriculture, new agric focus will curb inflation, and that's coming from Shatima. And you can find that on page 3 of the Nation newspaper this morning. Above the masthead, we have Fayose raises dust over Makinde's Villa's visit. That's on page 5 of the Nation newspaper this morning. And in Lagos, Sanwo-Olu sponsors get kudos from AU Afrima, and that's on page 28 of the Nation newspaper this morning. We have police declare bomb scare in Lagos schools falls, and that's on page 27 of the Nation newspaper this morning. Local federal contractors get 152 billion payment, and that's on page 25 of the Nation newspaper this morning. Nigeria-US security talks yielding results, says the federal government, and that story is found on page 2 of the Nation newspaper this morning. 24 Nigerian varsities in top global rankings, and that's on education. That's on page 4 of the Nation newspaper this morning. Nigeria's economic reforms working, and that's coming from the International Monetary Fund, and that's also on page 4 of the Nation newspaper this morning. Lots of interesting stories. You can grab a copy of the Nation newspaper this morning to learn more.
All right, from the Nation newspaper, we move straight to the last but not the least of the newspapers that we have for you this morning, and that is talking about Vanguard newspaper. Checking out the headlines, the front page headlines, we have 4 trillion debt. FG bows to pressure, pays 152 billion naira to contractors. That is coming from page 19 of Vanguard newspaper. We also have NJC OK's 14 lawyers as Federal High Court judges. That you can find on page 8 of Vanguard newspaper. Also coming from the front page, we have why I declined to constitute a panel to probe Fubara. That is according to Rivers Chief Judge. That is coming from page 12 of Vanguard newspaper. We have Kudirat Abiola's murder. Supreme Court dismisses a case against Major Al-Mustafa. Page 6 of today's Vanguard newspaper. We have 2027, Saraki calls for credible polls, effective fight against graft. Also coming from the front page of Vanguard. We have I'm comfortable in PDP. Makinde declares after meeting Tinubu, coming from page 10. Also making the bold headline of Vanguard newspaper, we have Kaduna abductions. US raises fresh concerns, attacks FG on stronger action with multiple riders. That you can find on page 5 of Vanguard. We have Akpabio Natasha resumed legal battle as Senate President appeals. From the world of sports, AFCON 2027, Super Eagles begin qualifying campaign September. All this you can grab a copy of Vanguard newspaper to read more about all of these headlines. So we take a break. When we return, it's going to be time for us to have a very light interview. And of course, our guests are already seated in the studio. So keep watching. We'll be right back.